Porn Stars or People Podcast of Dan Frigolette. I'm here with Dahlia Rain. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get you with all the new arms and stuff. Yeah, let's get you back. Right? Are you just gonna?
You want to hear me breathe?
Yeah,
don't you?
there it is. Oh shit! Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for traveling and coming to the. Let's call this the new studio. We're sponsored by. It's not bad. We're sponsored by Spunk Lube today, and we're rebroadcast by the Demon Seed Radio Network, so we appreciate those people. You are an East Coaster.
I am. Yes, happily so. Born and raised.
Yeah. How is that for you? What do you like? What's your vibe on this whole area?
You know, I love it. I grew up in Jersey most of my life. Lived for 8 years in Ohio through college. Lived in Southern California for 8. So I just moved back here about 4 years ago. So I kind of, got used to the California life.
Yeah.
Love that slowness, but I'm a Jersey girl down deep. And, I've got too big of a mouth. I curse a lot.
Yeah.
This is a better pace for
Yes.
me, but...
That is the thing. I think us East Coasters, we forget that you can't, we swear for no reason. And then when you go to another place, they're like, whoa, what's your deal?
But even if we're happy, it's like if we're angry, if we're happy, but it's just a faster pace. People always think that we're meaner here, but I would say we're not meaner. We're just more honest.
People say this a lot to me. They're like, oh, New York is rude.
Yeah, we'll just tell you if we hate you. We'll tell you if we love you. Just stop being a dick.
I don't think we're rude. I think we don't care as much about most of the things. We don't care if we ever see you again, which is not a bad thing.
We wouldn't notice anyway because we're not making eye contact with you if we
Yeah.
do see you.
So it's not a bad thing that we don't care if we'll never see you again. But what it is it's this other thing where it's we embrace the fact that we can have a singular experience with somebody.
Right.
In the Midwest, or really, honestly, as soon as you get outside of New York, a couple minutes, people want to then be your friend forever. They want to add you on Facebook.
I think it's a sign of the times too, though, because now social media brings everyone closer to you. To where before, if you had a weird friend or a creepy family member, nobody knew.
Right.
You weren't responsible for them.
Sure.
But now, even just the other day, I saw someone be I saw someone post on Facebook, if you have a friend and all of their friends are assholes, do you judge that person for it? Well, before you wouldn't know if all of their friends were, I don't know if this person has a crazy Aunt Susie because she's not, but now she's on Facebook.
Right.
So now I know about
because you're looking
Aunt
up their
Susie.
connections and stuff, right? Because now they're commenting on your stuff.
Right. So now people have to be more, take care, be all particular about who they add. And who they don't add. Especially me being an adult, industry person.
Yeah. Don't you just invite everybody in?
I don't.
You don't.
Oh my gosh, I don't. I have 666 Facebook friend requests.
No Okay.
I do not accept more.
Yeah.
If I get a friend request every single time, it's like Hunger Games. I'm is this person better than all others?
Really?
Yeah. If I friend you, you're special.
I get this a lot. People just go, girls that want that are
Nope.
hitting on me do this thing with because I've maxed it out.
What is that? 5,000?
5,000.
Wow.
So I maxed it out, and because I'm doing good at comedy.
Are we switching shoes?
No, I just took mine off because it's I don't know.
I thought maybe you liked my heels. You just wanted to
I'll
switch
put
it
those
up.
on. No, and so then I'll get this thing with just delete somebody, just delete somebody else, and then add me.
I would be are you cooler than all of them?
Yeah, I don't know. I just met you.
No.
This is I like that you have a stringent.
It's only
policy.
so many in, so many out, and then it keeps my feed relevant.
Yeah.
So then it's only kinds of things that are interesting to me.
Right.
But I also Facebook for me isn't business.
Yeah.
I have Twitter. It has 20,000 followers.
Right.
I have Instagram. It has almost 10,000. That's where I collect people.
Yeah.
I don't really like people that
I'm
much.
a hoarder though.
Oh no.
So anybody I ever knew, I'm that's a potential person that's going to come to a show at some point. It's a lot of things that probably are not very realistic.
A lot of people that I know that are musicians or artists, they do the same thing. I just require all those people to be paying me.
Yeah. Well,
I'm you want to follow me? Follow
That's
my
the only
OnlyFans.
way for a comedian to get paid, though, is we got to get you to
Yes.
come to the show.
You're right.
We don't have our own. It would be cool, and I think I've had this chat before, and I think this should be a thing that comedians start to do. But I don't have nearly the followers. But it would be cool if comedians were doing the thing like porn stars where they do the
Like
private channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just you sign on to my only funnies.
Yeah, only funnies.
And then you do my channel, and that's we kind of have that. We have like Patreon and stuff like that.
Right.
People will support their own their podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
no, comedy is thankless. Like
Yeah.
there's such a few. It's people always say like, oh, actors are so 1 in a million, or models are so 1 in a million. No, comedians, it's actually really even harder because there's less people that are going to take off. And then one thing that always drives me crazy is when you're a comedian, you've been struggling for so long to try to find your little niche, like your thing that is representative of you. And then everybody loves it, and then they keep wanting to see it.
Right, and then now
like,
you're in this thing.
now
Right,
you're
that was like
stuck.
the Steve Martin thing. Was that like now he like his act was based on this concept, and then once people figured out the concept, it wasn't fun for him anymore.
Exactly.
No, it is funny because in acting, it's like they're always going to need a fat guy.
Right.
They're always going to need like
Right.
these people. So you can't even typecast as much because they
Right.
still need to make it look like
That
it's
guy's
humanity.
always relevant.
Right. But in comedy, they just go, no, one's enough. Like
Yeah.
one straight white male is enough.
Right. Or women, how they often are like joking about their periods. It's like, well, what are you going to do? Joke about your period?
Right.
but
Right.
it's
Well, but
just
so
more
I mean, every
difficult.
comedian has a different perspective. But that's the thing is they start to categorize comedians in this way.
Yeah.
Although
yeah.
I guess porn is exactly that.
Oh, absolutely.
It's exactly that. It's like, oh no, I want to jerk off to this specific thing.
But do you know what
today.
changed it is the production companies going into the hands of the people.
Okay.
Like, because before in porn, a long time ago, there was only major production companies.
Yeah.
And they were the girls and the guys were trying to get the jobs. Trying to get the jobs. But now people out there going, well, you know what? I'm really into so and so thing, so I'm just gonna start doing it myself.
Yeah.
And they start recording their own things. So it's almost a little bit. The porn stars have made it a little bit easier on themselves by like being able to it's almost like if you could just say, well, I'm just going to joke about sneakers,
Yeah.
like different types of sneakers, and that's going to be it. And then people will come to you because they think sneakers are hilarious.
Right. And I wish that was. You need an industry that makes like what is it like $400 billion to have that type of thing. Comedy is
Right,
not.
right.
Comedy's not in that
Absolutely.
level of demand, unfortunately.
Yeah. Not
But
anymore.
I'll do whatever. I'll do whatever jokes you want me to do. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do jokes about tricycle. I don't care. Whatever you want. I'll do jokes about jerking off with your feet. You know what I mean? Whatever the equivalent is.
Well, that's great. I think that is the direction that it needs to go, because it's kind of what makes what we do more digestible.
Yeah.
It makes it more easy. It makes it, more acceptable.
Yeah.
But people before, they wouldn't even talk about all
Right.
of those private things like jerking off, and now people can just joke about it.
Yeah, I do think that that's the thing with porn, especially with the newer and the like commissioned content, is that people can now they can now pick their weird flavor.
Right.
Although I think what it's doing is it's creating like a market that didn't exist necessarily. Like
Right.
I don't know that everybody needed to see foot porn. Right? Like it's not that. And because I think now that it is a thing, it's like growing and it's becoming somebody's taboo, like almost unnaturally.
It definitely is. Fetishes can be grown for sure, but it's interesting you say that, because a couple years ago I was approached, probably 2 years ago, I was approached by one of my slaves, one of my subs, and he said I was approached on Twitter by this British broadcasting company. Not the British broadcasting company, but a British broadcasting company, and they want us to be on their television show.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this documentary. It's going to be like a 6-minute documentary. It's going to be great. So I'm trying to do this thing, like, didn't get paid, trying to do this thing for, like, education purposes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to, like, create awareness about BDSM and, like, polyamory and weird life and stuff like that. And what I wasn't prepared was that once it was released, which it went viral, it had, every Lad Bible, everyone was sharing
nice.
it. Yeah, it went viral.
I know them.
And I was getting, because it was originally from Bancroft Media.
Yeah.
So then they sold it to Lad Bible and a whole bunch of different companies, and then they shared it. And we had like millions of shares in a day. And what I wasn't what I wasn't thinking about was that my intention was just like education, and everyone is going to think
Right.
are interesting and nice, and
Right.
this is really cool. But we had so many horrible responses from people that when I was reading them, it was just like it's so extreme.
They were horny or they
Horrible.
were upset?
They thought that we were terrible. Like they thought that like we were like weird and messed up.
Oh, wow.
Like, cause like they were just like, cause we're like poly. Like I have my partner is a dom. I'm a dom. We have slaves.
Yeah.
And so when they would watch it, they would just be like, "Oh, this poor man is being abused." Like they
Right.
thought like my sub was being abused. Like they were putting all of their own personal
Yeah.
things
Well,
on it.
and the misunderstanding of things.
Right, because they don't have that perspective to come from, the understanding to come from.
Yeah.
So they're just like, and I'm reading over all these responses. I mean, I went through the Facebook pages and I read every goddamn
You read
one.
every comment? You can't read every comment.
I
That's
read
what I
them,
found out.
and I responded to a lot of them.
You responded to all the comments.
And a lot of them I responded being like, my slave's name is Fluffy. I
Yeah.
would be like, I'll happily send you Fluffy's email information if you would like to talk to him about
Right.
whether he's suffering. Because I truly did it for education. So I wanted to answer the comments.
Right.
But it was definitely interesting. Like my hair, I had dyed my hair yellow on purpose.
Like yellow.
Yellow,
like not
yellow.
human yellow.
Like big bird, bright
okay.
yellow.
Yeah. I
On
didn't
purpose.
even know you could. Yeah, okay.
On purpose. It was brand new. It was just people just started doing it. But it had faded. So, of course, one girl is like, "Oh, my God, she needs a toner in her hair."
Right.
And I'm like, well, of course you don't know that I dyed my hair yellow intentionally.
Right.
It's not your fault. But it's just so funny, like, the comments that people write when they don't know. I'm like, Fluffy's actually really happy and loves his being kinky and loves being in the adult industry because he,
Yeah, he's not there accidentally.
No.
Right.
He begs to be here.
Right.
I've tried
Literally.
to fire him many times.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
He's my biggest dummy.
Yeah.
Hi, Fluffy.
So do you think he's gonna listen?
Yeah.
You gonna? Could this be one of the things? Is like, can I get people that have been on the podcast? Can I get them to make their subs listen to the podcast? Is that a thing? And like get the
you
listens
can.
up?
I will
Listen,
make
get
them
your
all
subs to listen to this goddamn podcast. Let's get the listens up.
Yeah.
Just on repeat.
It's complicated getting subs to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a kindergarten teacher.
No shit.
So I learned a lot about being patient and communicating fully, calmly, and patiently. And having good self-control from teaching children. And I find that those apply a lot to dealing with adults because adults are really just more complex children.
Yeah, this is what. So when I teach an improv class, I always try to do it for children because there really is. It's an easier market. It's
Absolutely.
adults have like made up their minds about things and they
you more.
force everything. So like with stand up with improv, what happens is the kids aren't trying to be funny, but then they become funny because they're just silly. But when you do it with adults are trying to be funny all the time.
They already have a preconceived notion of what's funny.
And it's not good.
Yes.
Because they're trying so hard.
Right.
So that's interesting. Yeah, I think we lose it. We lose a lot of
already
pieces.
deciding that they can't.
Sure.
Like
there's
a lot
that.
of adults will be like, "Oh, I'm not funny.
Right.
I'm not funny."
Well, there's that. I find that about sex with adults is people go, "Oh, like when you meet somebody and then they start listing things before you get in the room and it's like that's fine and I respect those things, but it also sounds like you haven't experimented in a very long time."
I actually, that's one of my favorite things about BDSM and about being a femdom is that a lot of times people tend to. I learned early that people tended to just listen to me because of who I am.
Yeah.
Like, so people would come up with this, someone would come up, a girl that would come up with her boyfriend. And then she would be like, "Oh, he's super, he would never."
Right.
And then I would just walk up to him and be like, "But have you thought about it though?
Right.
Like, are you thinking about it?
Right.
Maybe?
Right. Well,
Let's try it out."
Yeah. I've been in so many situations sexually where a thing you wouldn't do then becomes a thing that you would do in an instant.
Right.
Which is what's interesting because it's all about what's going on in the room with the person.
Absolutely.
So it's like yeah, I wouldn't like on a survey say that I'm doing all these things, but then when I'm in the room
across the board is a lot of the times is the case.
Yeah.
And the way that you present something and making people feel comfortable. I think that's probably why I'm good at what I do is because even from the time I was little, my mother and my family would always be like, "Oh, you make people feel really comfortable.
Oh, interesting.
You're really outgoing and accepting." People would walk in to meet me and they would be like shaking,
Right.
and I would just be like, "I'm gonna hug you.
No
Like, let's
shit.
just have a hug. Calm down, take a breath, take a breath. You're fine. Like, we're not even in the. I'm not gonna murder you."
Yeah.
Yet.
Interesting. All right. So for people that don't, let's pretend like we're that BCC show or whatever.
Yeah. It's called Extreme Love.
Yeah. What's the? If you had to like bottle it down and explain to people what it is to be poly.
Yeah.
And then how does and then even beyond that, how does it work to have two doms?
Yeah.
Because that's the stable relationship, right?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of funny. So all my slaves that I have now, I've had for years.
Yeah.
My boyfriend, my primary partner, has been around less long. We've only been together for a little over 2.
Interesting.
So my subs, they were there first.
Yeah.
But they were never confused about their place.
Right.
As
Right.
when-
None of the subs think that they're going to become.
No, they were subs from the beginning.
Right.
They know they're always going to be subs. But I find that the best, like in my personal experience, we call it poly kinky because
Okay.
there's polyamory, which is like poly in love.
Right.
When you have like love relationships.
Multiple relationships.
Right. Poly kinky is kind of when you have multiple play partners.
Yeah.
And I don't mean sexual like play partners, just like having sex.
What's
like,
this hand?
like, a little bit of. I don't mean just like sexual, because in BDSM and DS, it's more about the emotional.
What's dom sub?
Yeah.
It's
BDS,
too many.
yeah.
It's too many acronyms.
Dominant
these days.
submission. It's more about like realizing that people have many different levels, are constantly evolving and growing, and that the idea with poly is that, well, the basic sense is that you're so awesome, or I'm so awesome, that my partner doesn't want to keep me from only being with one person.
Interesting. That's an interesting.
It's like you want to
spin
share
on it. Yeah.
And you can be as so you can decide to have only sex with your primary partner.
I love that.
Sex.
Every time you say sex, you start fingering.
We could like
finger in
sex,
your hand.
like whatever.
Yeah.
Like we can like rub 2 vaginas. It'll be fine.
Sex. You know what I mean?
Like get it done.
Sex.
But you could do like sex with your primary partner, and
Yeah.
then do other types of sexual activities with other people, not only penetration.
Right.
There's many different types of ways of being poly, without just literally sticking your dick in 15 different people. Yeah. You could be like, I'm only going to stick my dick in this person, but we play. Or maybe my boyfriend and I, whenever we have other partners that we play with, we're together.
Yeah.
So they're like our relationships. But I think that the most important thing is adding people one at a time.
Sure.
And making sure everyone likes each other.
Right. So did you have situations? I mean, now that you had the subs for a period of time. Now the relationship of a sub is, I mean, it's so you're so in control that can it go awry? Like, have you ever had to boot any subs?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What does that look like?
Yeah, it looks different every time, but the most irritating time is which I actually had recently, when a person. So I had a situation recently with a slave or a sub who was with me for a long time. The whole time he was like faking it because he liked me.
Right.
He liked me. He thought I was hot. He liked me in his life. He
Yeah.
liked me texting him. So he pretended to be submissive and paid me a lot of money.
Right.
Paid me a lot of money.
Well, what's the difference?
But then in the end, he was a
between
dick.
pretending to be submissive.
Because in the end, he was like, I've just been pretending. And I'm smarter than all of your slaves, and I'm actually not submissive. And I was like, you're actually just saying you have no self-control.
Yeah,
because submissiveness is not.
But this is just what people say when they get their feelings hurt, right? It's like they don't get what they want,
No,
and then they start
I could
listing
tell
shit. Do you know what I mean?
he's being. Well,
There's
complicated.
there's truth to the thing, right?
You know what it is? It's the people being too complicated.
Yeah.
That's what it is in the end. It's just people like. He was providing me everything that I wanted to be
Yeah.
my sub. On paper, it looked good.
Right.
But him in the background was like secretly jealous, secretly worried I
Right.
was going to leave him.
So it's just like every other relationship. Yeah.
And do you know how
Interesting.
many times I've met people in public when I'm out with my slaves? Because usually it'll be me, my partner, and several slaves.
Yeah.
Because we travel in a pack.
Sure.
And how many times I've sitting down at a bar and there was like this drunk girl and she would like go up to my slave and be like, well, what do you get out of it? What do you do? Why are you here?
Right.
I mean, if they're not fucking you, what are you doing?
I love that impression.
It's
That's every person I meet after a comedy show.
I mean, like, my boyfriend, it's just like, it's like, well, what do you get out of your relationship?
Right.
What does anybody?
Right.
Like, we've actually taught most of our slaves that people tend to fill vacuums with sex. Like,
What does that mean?
like you have a vacuum of something you're lacking, self-esteem, abandonment issues.
Yeah.
So you seek out sexual interactions, hooking up with people.
Now, do you think people are how aware do you think people are of this type of behavior?
Very, very, very little.
Yeah.
Very little. Most people, everyone has vacuums. Like,
Sure.
but, something that they need. They can't be alone.
Yeah.
So they'll go get drunk at a bar, or they just need to completely get wasted, and they don't even know if they. But most of the people, everyone has vacuums. It's either
Right.
you recognize them or you don't.
Right.
And I think a lot of my subs and slaves are people who need a little bit of extra guidance in changing patterns. So I literally have to tell, like, some of them won't wake up until noon. And I have to say, you're going to start waking up every day at 9 o'clock. They just wouldn't do it for themselves.
Interesting.
Like, it's like literally like being a mother.
Yeah.
Like, people will be like, you don't have any children. I'm like, no, I have several. I just didn't birth them myself. They're basically like babies. They're like our teenagers sometimes. But it's really helpful having a male, or even just not even a male. It's helpful having a dom partner, because even recently I had something happen in my life, and I needed to make sure that I could like trust my partner to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
Where I wasn't going to be able to, so I could just call him and be like, look, I can't deal with any of these people. So I'm going to need you to help me out.
Yeah,
Because
interesting.
being a dom, whether you're a femdom or a male dom, it's a lot of work, emotional, like you have to put in a lot of time and effort and work and planning. And
Sure. Hey, go. Get out of here. Sorry.
Puppy,
Tess,
that's okay.
go. No. I'm actually apologizing to the listeners more than anybody else. I know you like Tess, but
I know,
but
I
it's
like
it's an interruption. No,
Sorry, you guys
hey,
can't see
hey,
her.
puppies on the couch. Go away. No puppies in the studio. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
She's really cute though.
She is very cute. This is Tess's second time trying to be on the podcast. I had to remove her jingles. Her jingles is like I don't know if you have this equivalent for your subs, but I always know where she's at because
of her jingle.
Because I keep the two things on her neck. So the one
That's
with her
really
name on
sweet.
it, and the other one is as it turns
sweet.
out, her rabies thing.
Ah.
But then she goes in the woods, and I can hear her jingling around.
I should get those for slaves, actually. I think
Yeah.
we need those.
Where are you? What are you doing? Why
I have
can't
a
I hear
bell.
your jingles?
I just have a bell. I make them come
Do you
to
have a
me
bell?
in my room.
Is
Yeah.
that real?
Right next to
Yeah.
the bed. Ding,
Oh, that's
ding.
great.
Like a hotel.
That's great.
Like, I'll be like, yeah.
Okay, so what is this sub relationship? So are these people that literally live in your house?
I have one that lives with me,
Okay.
yes. I have a live-in.
And what's the role?
So, his slave name is Agonist. He has been him and Fluffy are my two longest had. I've both had them for 5 years. They were my slave before I lived with
Right.
in this house.
Now, how do they feel about? And this is even a thing they get to discuss. So they get to discuss how they feel about your new relationship.
That's a wonderful question. No, but it's part of my responsibility to know that it affects them.
It's just my favorite thing. That's a great question. No.
No. Go get no. So, yes, I'm sure deep down, it's less time that they get to spend with me.
Yeah.
But
But
if I'm doing a good job,
But
as
you were in a
dom,
relationship prior.
I was.
So there's always going to be
That's
somebody.
exactly true. And I was in a relationship when I was in another relationship when I met them.
Yeah.
So they were used to it. Then I was single and I only had slaves for a while, and then I had this new relationship. But it's kind of that's every relationship.
Sure.
That's every.
Yeah.
But it's my responsibility in knowing that I'm like the mother, kind of like I'm being aware of everyone, how they're seeming, like without saying anything.
Right.
Like, do they seem like they're kind of frustrated? should we have a talk? Like, I had a talk with him anyway, even though he never said anything. I said, hey, like, whatever. I can't remember. It was so long ago. Like, introducing him, encouraging the slave to hang out with us.
Yeah.
Talk to, it's a lot of, like, management of people and considering people's feelings.
I think that's the first place a comedian goes to with the poly thing is they go, it's hard enough.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, dealing with one girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
How like it's so much more work
Absolutely.
to deal with too, but the fact that you are more defined in the fact that like
Right.
I'm this role,
Yes.
and this is how I feel about gender roles. Even though we say that they were so bad and so forth, and the only problem was that we pinned certain things on women, we pinned certain things on men. But I
Right.
still
Made it
agree
easier.
with the idea that two people in a relationship should be doing half of the work,
Yes.
and I don't care which half you do, but like pick a half.
Right.
And fucking do your job.
Right.
And then when you don't do the thing that you said you were going to do, then you can have that discussion. You're going to do the thing you're supposed to do.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't
exactly.
care. And again, it's like I'm happy to cook. I'm happy to take care of the babies. It's
Right.
like none of this stuff has to do with like traditional gender roles, but it does have to do with the fact that the reason why relationships worked better was because people were doing half the work.
Because it was like explained, like it was structured.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's how I explain that about DS a lot.
Yeah.
Actually, is because people always say, like, we call it total power exchange.
Sure.
TPE, total power exchange. It basically means it's exchange of power. So I have power. I stand here with my power. I'm born with it. I choose it. I grow it, and I'm giving it to you. Doesn't mean that I'm weaker than you. It means I'm choosing to be. I'm making the choice to give you the power. And it's like
that's the sub.
well, yeah, and then DS. So it's like even with two DOMs, even though we're both very alpha people, we're both very confident, we're both very aggressive and goal oriented, I can choose to give him respect. And it's because, and I can choose to worship him. I can choose to make him my king because I know I have so much power. I can give it to him. So it's not like I'm losing. It's not like I'm making myself weak. I'm almost. That's hard to explain.
No, I think you're doing a good job.
It's almost like I'm making myself stronger because
Yeah.
I'm recognizing my power and choosing to give it to him.
Sure. I think, and I think that's really, in an odd way, that's what's lacking from relationships now.
Yes.
Is I'm in constant conflict when I'm dating somebody because it feels like we're at odds when all I've ever wanted is to
Yeah.
be like on the same page,
Yes.
right?
There's no odds. There's no
Yeah.
struggle.
And it's like, you have my back.
Yep.
And together we're stronger. That's
Yeah.
basically what you're describing.
And even with people always get confused because he's a dom, like, but what we'll do is instead of, we're always trying to just like make sure that we have people, like, I'm not the most neat person,
Sure.
but I have figured out a way to get people to do things for me.
Right.
So my house is very clean, but it's not because I'm very neat. It's just because I've managed to figure out what are the things that I can't do.
Yeah.
And then found someone to do it for me.
And that's like a serious, that's self-reflection and like the honesty of admitting that you're flawed and you can't do everything.
Right.
Again,
And
it's
that's
what's
kind of
missing.
what poly is.
That's great.
Because it's not even necessarily a thing like washing dishes. Maybe
Right.
it's like something emotional, or maybe it's something psychological, or maybe it's help doing taxes.
Right.
It's like literally.
Well, and
just
it could be anything.
recognizing-
It could be doing dishes, but it
Yeah.
also it also could just be like being the little spoon. Like it's. And that there's something great about that. And this I mean there really is, this is the thing that I find the most enriching about just your community.
Yeah.
Across the board, and we're lumping a lot of things in now, right? When I say this, but the level of communication, the success of all the people is because the level of communication
Yes.
is
Everyone's got to
control.
succeed, or no one.
And and even from the standpoint, and I say this a lot on the podcast, of like when you go into a scene, and this is where you list off the things you're going to do. That's just not things that people do in regular life.
Yeah.
The best relationship I had, and it was just, and it ended up being short lived. But what was great about it was we spelled out everything that we felt like we were comfortable at the beginning, and we decided to have it be an open relationship, and that was what was great and enriching, and we didn't know each other well enough to even get involved in the endeavor that we were looking at, and so we made a lot of mistakes. But the fact that we sat down and talked about it was something
That's huge.
that we've never, that I'd never done, she had never done.
It's you. My partner now, we did that. We actually, like, he said, like, what is your idea, like, in your mind? Like, I call him daddy.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, what is your idea of what this is to you? You know, and then he, like, it was like, what do I need? This is who I am. And it was kind of just like really on paper.
Yeah.
Like on paper,
Yeah,
writing all this stuff out. It's great.
I wrote out for somebody like a I don't remember what I called it. Not a Dan dictionary, but like the Dan Bible almost. Yeah. Like
That's
one
cool.
time, and it was just, these are the things that I don't care about. So it's not things you need to focus on. These are the only kind of things that I do. And it is, because this is the thing I think a lot, is that we don't know what the other person in the relationship, we don't know what they think is romantic. We don't know what they're like.
Love language.
Yeah, the love language thing I think is too limiting too, because they go, oh well, then they just like list these, what is it, the 4 things. Right?
No, but it's kind of, the people don't always tell you what their love language is, though.
That's
like,
true.
It's
And
not about what people tell you. It's about actually paying attention.
Sure, there's that. But it's also nice to have them go, this is what, because where people bump into trouble is once you've made a mistake that now is like non-negotiable, and you're like, well, I would have easily not made the mistake if we just discussed it at the beginning.
Right, yeah, that's huge. That's definitely big, because it's not being honest about. So I actually, part of who I am, I consider myself like a BDSM advocate.
Yeah.
And I'm actually in the process of starting a website that is going to be just like helping not kinky people, like regular people.
Sure.
Like make decisions, but from like a femdom or DS perspective. Yeah. So I really just love the idea of like taking things that people learn through DS and applying them to people who aren't kinky.
Yeah. Okay.
Whenever I tell people,
like
I want to start this like, this website for helping people to give advice. There's kinky advice columns for people giving advice to kinky people.
Sure.
But not kinky people trying to talk to like regular vanilla people.
Right.
And I just think that there's so many things that we learn that can be applicable, whether in porn or in fetish or in like, BDSM. Like we have all of these strange ways of breaking things down. And my boyfriend, when we first started dating, he was vanilla. Well, he wasn't vanilla, but he was not in the BDSM lifestyle. And he thought consent conversations were like the weirdest thing ever.
They are.
Like,
and they really are.
You just walk up to somebody and say, "Can I touch your butt?" And I'm like, "No, I do."
Yeah, no, and
I definitely do.
And it is weird, and it's. I mean, I think this is where we're evolving. And it is. I really do think a lot of the problem is that we're still stuck in like the rules of the fifth. So like we're still trying to apply rules of like, I just kind of bought a wife and legally I can do whatever I want to her sexually. We're still kind of in that thing, and then women are still kind of in that thing where they just want a guy to take charge because that's what it's been for so long.
The problem is they secretly, I shouldn't generalize, many of them secretly want to go to take charge. But on the front, they're saying they don't.
Right. So then,
they'll be out
I've
there,
been
be like, "I'm a woman. I take care of myself," and then they're like low key being like, "Why doesn't anybody date me?"
Right. And it is interesting to encounter these people they're just so. Everything about how they communicate and what they want is in conflict.
Yes, and men, it's the same.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I don't date men, so it's hard. You know what I mean? And then obviously, like, it's interesting now because now I'm in one of these like situations where one of my friends is now starting to see another of my friends who's a girl. So now I'm seeing all of the sides of it because she's getting feedback.
Know her. Yeah, you know her.
I know both of the girls and I know the guy, and so now I'm getting feedback from B girl about A girl, and then the story that I hear from the guy, and it's all different. It's not even that it's drama. It's just that everybody's trying to put the best foot forward.
Yes,
and there is a little bit of drama.
That's great that you noticed that though, because you can hear a story from one.
It's like that's not what he said.
And it's
and both
spinning.
people it seems like are kind of in the mania part of the thing, and they're really like
Right.
excited and they really want to hang out all the time. But I think they both feel like it's a lot. So then what they're doing is they're telling the people around them that, oh, this one, the other one, not me, the other one just wants to see me all the time, and it's a
Oh my
lot.
gosh.
But
That's
they're
just
both
very-
saying that.
But the funny thing is, this is all still typical guy-girl stuff.
Yeah. Right.
It's
And that's what I
so
mean. And even
funny.
on the smallest level.
Yeah, even on the smallest level.
But that's the thing. I think we're all very much in conflict with what we want. Sometimes we don't know where it comes from. We don't know
people
what
are
we're
so-
searching for.
One of my biggest things, and I found this when I started working with gender therapy people, with people who are going through transitions, was people want to put themselves in boxes.
Yes.
They don't want to, they need to.
Yes.
They need to.
Sure.
I mean, I'll work with a trans person who is the most beautiful, gender fluid.
Yeah.
I would put them straight in the middle.
Yeah.
Beautifully straight in the middle. Gay, straight, in the middle. And they're like, I don't know if I'm a man or a woman. I don't know if I'm gay or straight. And I'm like, who cares? Be
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Be gay today. Be straight tomorrow. Dress a girl tomorrow. Like, be yourself. Be wonderful.
It's hard, right? Because everybody wants to be like, you got to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And all those things. And I think the people that are the most sure about how they are. See, but then
Are the most fluid, though.
But even as I'm saying that, people that are the most sure, I think also are people that I don't exactly envy. Like there's a
Right.
level of person that's already made up their mind about everything,
You're
and I go,
right. You're right.
that's wrong.
That's true. I think the best way to be is just always being fluid.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily, like, because they had their own journey that took them to that place, whether
Yeah.
they're right or wrong. But accepting the fact that you could be someone different in 10 years.
And I think that we evolve as people, and I think we also do this thing where, again, it's like every experience we have with a different person has a different
That's true.
skew to it. So however dominant and I might be with my relationship when I'm 25, it
Mhm.
might be a completely
Yeah.
different thing when I'm 30.
Right.
And both of them might be nurturing because that might not be the most important part of it to me.
Absolutely. I would say it's not a race to a finish line. It's a journey.
Sure.
So each individual relationship you go through, at the end of it, if it doesn't work out, you're not like, man, I failed. Because we're not
I
getting
think
married. It's
people
not,
think that they've wasted
yeah,
time.
you didn't waste time.
No, you
learned
figured
about
out
yourself.
who you are, right.
Yeah, you learned about, okay, well, I don't like people who leave the toilet seat up, or I don't like this. Like, you learn,
Yeah.
about yourself. You learn about people.
Right.
Like, people always, they wasted time. They're always thinking they wasted time. Like,
Yeah,
no, it's not
no,
a finish line. It's
Yeah,
just a journey.
and again, it's because we're still stuck in this other thing. We're stuck in this
yes.
like we have to get married. We
Get
have to
married.
be.
Which is weird because people aren't even getting married.
People aren't even getting married.
These
They're just having
days.
kids. Yeah, they're doing all the things without. But it is. It's like now because we go, oh, I can have kids and I can do all the jobs. And actually, maybe you're better off if you're only doing it half time. But that's what it was anyway. It was
Right.
half time.
Right.
Because one person was gone all day and the
Yeah.
other person was taking care of biz at home.
Yeah.
So it is. It's a lot of weird. It's like how long before we evolve completely and figure out that it's because now gender's fluid, relationships are fluid, everything's getting to that stage.
It seems like half of us go this way, and then half. It's not even.
Yeah,
it's not even
well,
plainer though.
you either
It's-
go well. It's really what's happening is exactly what you're saying is we either loosen up
Mhm.
or we tighten way the
Yeah.
fuck down.
Mhm.
And those are the two sort of levels that we're at now. The middle with everything is becoming non-existent. I mean,
Yep.
even politically, it's what we're doing with everything is what's the Dr. Seuss thing, the butter side up and the butter side down.
I don't know,
people?
but that sounds
Right?
interesting.
It's become this thing. All of these weird like Big Brother-esque sort of
Yes.
what do they call it? I forgot the word right now, but these worlds where these. Where there's dystopia. This is what. I
Oh
want.
yes.
Where there's that's kind of where all of these things that we were warned about.
Oh God, I used
that
to
we
love
thought
those
were
books.
silly. Yeah,
I love
it's
those books.
Very real now.
Yeah, and now I can't even like all of that. What is it? The Handmaiden's Tale. Or,
Right.
Like people tell me to watch it. I'm like, I don't
It's
want
too,
to. It's
too real.
terrifying.
even the Black Mirror stuff, I don't think is that far fetched.
I know. Yeah.
Like even the one where the two guys are banging each other in
I
the
love
video
that one.
game. I
was
don't think
like,
that's
yeah.
far fetched. Yeah. People, it's freaked out so many straight guys. It really freaked them out. And
That's
I really
funny.
don't think it's that far fetched.
No,
and
it's
it was
not.
and I was very proud of them for having the moment in the alley.
Yes.
And I don't want to ruin it, but it's been out for a while. So now it just
Spoiler
spoiler
alert.
alert. But they're in the alley and they have to figure out now why they're having the best sex of their life in a video game with
Yeah.
each other. One of them has taken the submissive role as a woman. One of
course.
them has taken the dominant role as a man, and they're both just avatars. So then they're trying to figure it out. And they're not sure if they're in love with each other, and they make out in the alley,
Yeah.
and they're not.
They're not,
and they're
yeah.
not at all.
Of course, my first thing when I watched that was I was like, God damn it. When I was playing Sims when I was 14, I couldn't even get them naked in the tub.
Right. That's
Like
all
I
we
was
wanna
like
do,
trying to
yeah.
put cheats on my Sims, like trying to make him get naked in the
Yeah.
shower. Like you can almost see it.
Yeah. And that's even such a less immersive experience, right? Because they're like VR.
Yeah, they're
there.
in it. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. That
Yeah,
was
really,
good.
it was.
But
was
it is
good.
terrifying.
But it's. I really think it's not that far. It's not that far off.
Mm-hmm.
These little nuggets that make it into literature and well, television.
I was watching an old movie. When I say old, it was like from the 80s.
Yeah.
I think it was from the 80s. And they actually had like it was fake VR glasses, but they
Yeah.
looked just like the ones
Like
we
the
have
ones,
now.
right.
And we were watching it.
And they were just predicting it.
And I was like, oh, that's so funny. Those actually
That's
do
it.
look like our VR glasses.
VR's been around for that long.
Oh,
it just
has
was
it?
not. It just the graphics hadn't caught up. So the concept of
Oh.
VR was always there,
I
but
guess,
it was
yeah, that
like
makes
it was
sense.
one of those things where like like those dumb, like just like gray shapes, no tone, no shadows, just
exactly.
like spheres. You're just like in a shapes thing. So it existed, but it just wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Because the graphics hadn't caught up, the none of it was there. The gradations, all of the stuff
Right.
that we needed, like Toy Story, to do, is what got us there. Spending money on children and media is what
Yes.
got us there.
Yep. The people who have the money to spend.
Yeah,
The parents.
Disney. Yeah,
Well, yeah.
yeah. Disney, DreamWorks, all the things. Yeah, that's how we got there. So yeah, that's and we're getting close there with the porn stuff now. That's
Oh,
right.
absolutely.
So now there's VR porn.
Yeah.
Even the site that I go to has starting to have VR stuff. And
And have you ever seen too? Like I did a shoot down in St. Petersburg with a foot fetish production company down there, and the camera, because he does giantess
Okay.
clips. Do you know what that is? It's basically when the person is very large.
Oh, interesting.
Like the woman is very large and she's like 50,
Yeah.
Attack of the
So now, okay.
kind of like that was
Yeah.
the Attack of the 50-foot woman.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Daryl
so he would,
Hannah, one of those. yeah.
yes, exactly. So I did a shoot with him, and he had this little tiny camera. It was like
You'd
this
be the
big,
hottest
this
50-foot
thin.
woman. by the way.
It was like this thin, and it had this little tiny like dome, and he could like
So
record.
360 camera.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
This 360
Yeah,
camera.
I
and
have
I'm
one
like,
of those,
this
and
is
I
so
literally
cool.
I just couldn't figure out how to make it. I thought it'd be really cool for the podcast because it's like, because then it's like if they don't want to look at me, then great, don't look at me.
But I was like, this is really cool because before they were having to do it with like they would take little like tiny army men or like little characters to try to like film the giantess stuff.
Yeah.
So they'd actually have to just take a little guy and like a girl and put on the floor. But now they have all these cool like. Actually, the things you can film with porn and clips now are ridiculous. I just technology has put us in such a direction. I have a chastity device for one of my slaves that's like GPS, Bluetooth,
Really?
like electric shock him.
No
like
shit.
It can make him he could be anywhere in the world, like, and make him get on all fours like a dog.
Yeah.
Like it's like technology is amazing for what we can do.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, wait. So let's get into this real quick. Just we got about like a 10-minute window of end of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This is a thing that I don't necessarily understand, and I want you to kind of explain it to me. The chastity business and the what do you call it when you basically, is that what it's called when you like lock up a penis?
Yeah. Or a vagina.
Yeah, sure. But since penises obviously change in size, there are devices that restrict. What's the like? That's like a fear that I have when as soon as I see these contraptions on Twitter. Is like, what if I pop wood?
Yeah, it hurts.
Okay.
It hurts.
So does it stop? Like, does it cut it off?
There's many different
types. Can you injure
types.
yourself?
There's different sizes and different shapes of chastity cages. But for example, my slave Fluffy, he had a regular standard size chastity cage, and he's a glutton for punishment. And so he wanted to get a smaller one.
No shit.
Which they make a tinier one. It's called the Nano, which is basically only about like this
Yeah.
big. Now, he actually has like a 6-7 inch penis
Yeah.
hard. So what happens is when he's hard in the cage, it pushes into his body more.
No
so
shit.
you could actually feel
Just
it.
stubs
like,
it out,
You
yeah.
could feel it like here
Yeah.
inside.
Well, every dude claims that they have an extra like 2 inches of dick inside anyway. That's
Well, I think they do, depending on the size of their stomach.
Yeah.
But it's like it just kind of like pushes inside, but it hurts.
Yeah.
It
But that's part of the joy.
yes.
Okay.
Like some people, it's a reminder. Like they like it.
Yeah.
Like it's like feels uncomfortable. And for a masochist, it's like fluffy. Like someone who like likes it, likes
Yeah.
feeling uncomfortable or knowing you're putting it in his place. He's into it. And then some people will put it on and they won't even be able to handle a day.
Yeah.
Or they won't be able to handle overnight.
I think-
Overnight's hard.
I think a lot of people that don't have penises, since I don't want to label and now and gender identity, all
Yeah.
the things. People that don't have penises, let's just say
That's
that.
good. That's a good way to put
They
it.
don't understand how many times a dick changes sizes in the day.
Or overnight, I guess, is the
Well,
biggest
overnight's
complaint.
a huge.
People wake up with morning
a
wood,
huge
and
concern.
they are like, when people
Painful
first go
morning
into
wood. Yeah.
in chastity, they'll call me in the morning, like
yeah,
crying,
screaming. Sure.
And I'm like, meh.
Sure, but then also, yeah, that's interesting because I just thought that the brain would be like, okay, cool,
No boners now.
no boners.
No, it doesn't do that.
Interesting.
In fact, you'd be amazed when the other day, Adam in New York City from Brooklyn came out to see me to shoot some clips, and we put him in a device that was basically it went in his butt, locked his balls into place, and then clamped his dick.
Yeah.
And he'd been in a chastity device. No one was touching him. He
Yeah.
was just laying there with this device on, and he looks at me and he goes, "Goddess, oh my God, I'm gonna come."
Yeah, I saw this
And
tweet.
I'm like, wait. I had to run and grab the camera, and he just came right all over in his own face. It was so...
And it wasn't touching anything.
Wasn't touching anything, but it was just the when you're in chastity, when
Yeah.
you're not using your dick for a long time, not only will you get a super
Sure.
easy boner, but you can just come without touching it.
Yeah.
I had an electric device on him
So
once, and he just...
is this the? So does he get in trouble? Like, what happens next? He's
I
letting
mean-
you know I mean, ideally you're giving him permission.
He can't help it.
Yeah, I mean he's
really.
going to, right? But so then is there a consequence? Like, is it?
It depends.
Is this an
on the
unsanctioned?
perspective.
Is this unsanctioned coming?
Technically, yes. It depends on the dom how she would want to respond to that. I mean, in a porn, she would be like, "I didn't allow you to have that boner.
Right.
Then I'm gonna punch you." But I just thought I was too funny.
Yeah.
I just thought I was too funny. So technically, the dom in me maybe should have been pissed because it wasn't allowed.
Right.
But I took the humor of it.
Yeah. Did
was
you get the
too
camera in
valuable.
time?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you did. Oh, you got it.
It was too valuable.
Oh, nice.
It was too
Is
valuable.
it on Twitter right now?
No,
Oh,
I
you didn't get it.
I keep things for.
Oh, that's for
certain
you.
people. Oh, no, I put it on my OnlyFans.
Oh, I see.
You know.
Oh, so the perfect transition. How do we see that exact thing? Where do we go to pay for your porn, etc.?
Yeah, so I do clips. I have I Want Clips, Dahlia Rain, and I also have OnlyFans, which is OnlyFans/Dahlia Rains. I'm pretty much Dahlia Rain across the board.
And so, what's the Twitter?
It's Dahlia Rain, DAHLIARAIN. Yep.
Boom.
Dahlia Rain, everything. You can find me. I mean,
And then, how do you feel about the non-porn-friendly social medias, the Instagrams, the
yeah, I
Facebooks?
use them. I like roles. I'd like everyone to follow them.
Sure.
So my Instagram is pretty friendly. I mean, there's definitely things on there that are strategic, but I'm never
yeah.
like tits. You wish. So Instagram, I Want Dahlia, and also my website is I Want Dahlia for my clips too.
Great.
Yeah.
That's good. We are the Porn Stars People Podcast. We're sponsored by Spunk Lube. I didn't get in the shot because I literally couldn't figure out all the angles. But I got like a lifetime supply of Spunk Lube. Very good stuff. Check it out. We're also rebroadcast by the Demon Seed Radio Network. We drop a new episode every Sunday at midnight, so technically Monday. My name is Dan Frigolette. I'm a comedian. I started running a show on the Lower East Side in New York City every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Very fun show. Come check that show out. I will also be hosting the 2019 Inked Awards, and look forward to that process, and then hopefully we can get another porn stars or comedians. Would you ever do comedy?
Hells yes.
Cool. So then I've confirmed Dahlia Rain for the Porn Stars and Comedians. So look out for that, and we'll try to find a venue and do that show because that's a very fun show for the folks and the fans. Thank you again to my guests for being here. if you have any questions about the things that we talked about, I guess just DM you.
Yeah.
And get into it, since you want to teach as much as you want to have people learn. So thank you again, and thank you for listening, guys. We're on YouTube, we're on Google Play, we're on iTunes, wherever you found the thing. We're on the other thing. We got some fun content today on YouTube, and thank you for listening. We'll try to give you good content whenever we can.